Let's do this, boys. Time to make another video.
Still struggling with that microphone, huh?
Yeah, still haven't gotten around to ordering a new one.
What are we doing, Barry?
Today, we are doing a Bunk'd tier list. The reason this took so long to start is because most of the tier lists on Tier Maker were either lackluster or just plain weird, and neither of them feature season 6 and 7. So I had this video's creator make a new one.
Geez, that's a lot of characters.
Yep, 76 to be exact. At some point, he just stopped adding certain characters since they didn't really add anything beyond a surface level. I would suggest we start with the Jesse crew. Next, we do the main original characters and slowly work our way down to the ones with lesser significance.
So we're doing all 7 seasons.
That's another thing I forgot to explain. Since at the time of this recording, season 7 is still going on, we'll only be ranking characters in seasons 1 through 5 and doing the rest in a separate video. Let's kick it off with Emma Ross.
Tier, S tier, S tier.
You sound even sleepier than me, Don. I know you like the blonde ladies, but...
You can just stop right there, Joe. I like all types of ladies, but Emma being any lower than S is criminal.
That's honestly a load of cap, Don. The first part, anyway. Sure, Emma is a bit one-dimensional, being the stereotypical dumb blonde of the show, but you will find that about most of the characters in this show.
George and his ghost face voice has a point. If we were to deduct points for being stereotypes, S tier will look pretty empty. It's crazy to me that they tried to write her as being smart when Jesse first started. I said they tried, never said it landed. S tier is fine. Up next, we have Ravi K. Ross.
Put this nerdy loser in F tier.
You're losing us, Don. This guy has become one of the less stereotypical characters of the show. Be not just smart, but also really witty and funny. I think S tier behind Emma is appropriate.
Won't catch me arguing with that statement. Now rounding up the main trio with Zuri Ross.
I liked her way better in Jesse, not gonna lie.
So you liked her way better when she was a smaller child? That's messed up.
No, Don, that's not what I meant at all.
Okay, how did you mean it then?
I forget, wink.
Well, regardless, we're talking Bunk'd Zuri now, and I gotta say, she gets less funny as the seasons go. She's the greatest in season 1, season 2, not as many funny moments, and season 3, she's just straight up rude, not someone I'd want my daughters to be friends with. What do you think, George?
While I agree her character definitely doesn't land in season 3, you have to realize she's burdened with being a camp co-owner while trying to have fun as a camper. All the while being outshined by another character who we'll talk about later. Even then, she's still willing to help said fellow camper and take the fall for something that wasn't her fault. I'm thinking we split the difference and put her in back of S tier.
Well said, George. There's just one more Ross to rank. Before we continue, I have another guideline to add. We will not be factoring in the actors who played each character as part of their ranking. If we did, Luke would get into double S tier out of respect. So instead, I'm thinking top of S tier. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, rest in peace, Cameron Boyce. Second, I agree with that. I mean, I know we're being totally biased here, but I love the badass type characters. If only he were in more episodes, then he'd be a double S tier for me as well.
I don't want to fight about it. We have too many characters to go through. I really do wonder how they would have worked him in a season 3 episode.
I don't know, but I bet it would have been a good one. Cameron serves as the perfect reminder that we never truly know how long we have on this earth. I'm younger than all of you, but I could go any day too.
Please don't say that, Barry. I don't know what you guys are talking about as usual, but I'll agree if you all stop sounding existential.
This video just got depressing. Let's move on to our next character, Bertram.
Well, Bertram is a firm character, and it was nice to see him again. His only purpose, I feel, is to remind us that this is a Jesse spinoff.
Donald is right. If they scrapped the part of the episode with him in it, it would not affect the plot. I think B tier is appropriate.
I can get behind B tier as well.
Seems it's unanimous then. Rounding out the Jesse crew, we have Mrs. Kipling.
Why are we ranking animals now?
Because, Dawn, some animals are an integral part of a person's character development. Like how Kipling stole the spirit stick, thus getting the plot underway as one of the best episodes of the first season. To season 4, when her reunion with Mateo led to people started to see him as a beast tamer, thus having to pluck up a different kind of courage and tell the truth about how he knows the beast.
For having more plot significance, I say put her in A tier Obama.
I have a feeling we'll be talking about this for a while.
Put her in A tier. She's just not on the same level as the Ross kids. And
You don't think she's S tier material?
I know she isn't. I mean, after taking over Camp Kikiwaka, her character does get bumped up quite a bit. But look at the downsides. Remember when she actively forbade Destiny from pushing her environmentalist agenda to an influencer who turned out loves to promote good causes? And when called out on it, Lou deflects rather than, owning up. Exhibit B in season 3, when she stupidly thinks that Balthazar is real and smacks a camper, as well as gaslighting Emma into believing that Zuri would go behind her back and trash a garden they worked on. Exhibit C, after Bill and Jake made an AI with real promise of getting the new camp out of the shitter that it is, Lou smashes that thing to pieces. Need I go on?
Wow, even I have a fear of robots, but even I think that was a bit extreme.
Well, we got a bit heavy on the meta there, but very well, you've won. To the viewers watching, please leave a like on the video to make up for all the dislikes.
Think of it this way, top of A tier is still really good.
What can we say about Xander?
Not much really to say. He's another stereotypical pretty blonde, and we already have one of those. Only difference I see is this one can sing.
He's a lovable character in every way, but he's only in 2 seasons. Put him in a tier behind Kipling.
I really hope they bring back some of the original characters from the first 2 seasons.
I didn't see any from the trailer. It looks like it's just characters from seasons 3 to 5, unless they're purposefully keeping them out of the trailer as a surprise return.
Well, it would be nice to see Xander and Oravi in the series finale. Even Zuri, although it was revealed in season 6 that Zuri actually hates Lou, but knowing Disney, they can always retcon that statement if they like.
We really shouldn't waste too much time talking about these nothing characters.
They're not nothing characters, they're just written more with the less mature audience in mind. Although I've spent a lot of time with fans online, and it seems younger viewers are on the smaller spectrum of this show's audience.
Jorge is not a nothing character. He loves horror stories and is a really good dancer.
If you think liking horror stories is a personality trait, then you've got another thing coming. And as for the dancing, Luke Noah and Parker are great dancers. Jorge just doesn't make me want to rip my own eyes out. Put him in D tier. I'm saving F tier for characters so much worse than him.
What about Jorge's natural opposite?
Oh my gosh, it's little Tiffany. She's so cute. Put her in S tier Obama.
Barack, don't you dare.
Don't worry, Donald, I wasn't. Even though she gets a little better in season 2, her always talking about college applications and trying so hard to be a stereotype, I'm putting her in D tier in front of Jorge. How are we feeling about the first villain this show got?
I like how she's been described as a nerdy Harley Quinn, but I can't give her too much praise. I'm gonna say D tier.
Oh my God, we completely forgot about Christina Ross.
Oh shoot, you're right, Donald. In our defense, she's only in 1 episode. And she was barely even significant in Jesse being only in a few episodes.
I vote we put her in C tier then.
I second that. She was so unbearable in that 1 episode. I actually found myself siding with Gladys.
Speaking of Gladys,
No lower than C tier. We need a bit of seniority in a show full of snot-nosed children.
But she's just so mean.
So am I, but you still love me.
Yeah, that's true. Give me a hug.
Stay away from me, creepy.
Let's start switching gears to one of the more recent characters. How's about Mateo?
We don't need another nerdy character. We already have Ravi put him in F tier.
We can't put one of the show's most liked characters at the bottom like that.
And besides Donald, he get to date Scarlett's character.
Well, of course, you'd bring that up. Joe, fine, B tier, but no higher. And Finn, I vote he goes to C tier. He's basically the same character as Jorge, but he gets a leg up for his episode in season 6.
Fine, whatever.
And I'm also putting the GOAT of season 2 right where he belongs in double S tier. Any objections?
None from me, but explain to the audience why this character is goated.
Griffin is a top dog. For one thing, he's a broken home badass, and what can I say? I like people who remind me of me.
Wait, then, is he a goat or a dog? Make up your mind.
Boy, we walked right into that one. Anyway, he also gets the ladies. That's another thing we have in common.
Sure, whatever. We know we're in the wrong.
And by that, he means we're totally right. And anyone who thinks otherwise is a no-life having loser who probably voted for Biden.
What are your thoughts on Murphy the camp cook?
Well, you got to have respect for the average Joe. But if that's the whole premise of their character, then it's only going to take them so far.
The only remotely negative thing I have to say about him is when he whipped up Lou and Ravi into a competition, thus allowing their campers to get into trouble.
I remember that episode. That's the one where the kids almost become snake food.
Your memory is oddly selective, Joe.
When it comes to kids being put in uncomfortable situations, you can always count on even this guy to remember.
Anyway, getting back on track, putting up with Gladys' harassment of him and feeding people with limited resources, I think he deserves top of B tier.
Time to rank my favorite character who isn't a kid. Old Kris Kringle himself.
Of course, Santa would be woke in a Disney sitcom.
How can you say that? You don't know what he looks like. He visits you when you're sleeping.
Earth to dumbasses Santa isn't real, so who cares what he looks like in the show?
Guess it's up to me to be the voice of reason again. Every holiday episode where they bother to bring him in is a true delight. I'm putting him in A tier, right behind Lou.
In the holiday episode of the new season, they did an episode where new character scout introduces her reindeer friends. Would have been nice if they could have wrote him in too somehow.
Yeah, it sure does feel like a lost opportunity. How about Shelby's character, Ava?
Even though I guess she's grown since she's first been introduced, I still say she doesn't have the personality to look after kids. Heck, she only got one camper in season 5, probably for that very reason. That being said, I think she's a B-tier character. I like her, but she's out of her element.
You wouldn't think it, but I like her too. Again, I like the broken home badass types. Not to mention she has the voice of an angel. I agree with all of Bush's points too.
And now for the best character of season 4, Gwen.
She's a double S tier character for sure. I just see it that way for different reasons.
Oh yeah, and what reason is that, Donald?
Quite simple, my ethnic friend. As I've made it thoroughly clear, I love the broken home badass types. She may not come from a broken home, but that doesn't necessarily take it down for me. Also, her evolution from being a jungle freak to a member of civilization, and in that one episode of the 5th season, without losing that edge from growing up in the woods, makes her a compelling character.
That was beautiful, Don. Want to hear why I like her?
No!
So how about Noah?
He's cringy.
I thought you were going to say he's something else.
I bet you did, you left-wing turd.
I know that Noah has had more than his fair share of cringy moments, but you could say that about most of the characters portrayed in this show. Apart from that, he contributes the most around camp and has had the most affect on every character in this show. Whether it's testing the zip lines or perhaps helping a camper realize that what she really wants it to be charitable instead of being a showgirl. Okay, maybe there's a better word, but the point stands. I say put him in a tier between Mrs. Kipling and Xander.
Well said, sir. Well said indeed. Speaking of that showgirl, let's rank her now.
She's a pageant girl, you freaks.
Whatever I to have been amongst the online fandom for Bunk'd, and have confirmed my suspicions that Destiny Baker is the main reason people watch the show these days.
A bit strange to me, but it's not hard to see why. If not for that character revelation that Bush mentioned, I'd have said a tier, or maybe even as low as B tier. Starting out as a superficial pageant girl who wouldn't want to be seen around characters like Finn and Mateo, to someone who is actually respectable and becoming a more important figure to society has made.
Yeah, stop rambling, Barack. We all know why she's loved.
I actually prefer season 3, Destiny Not Gonna Lie.
You mean before the growth spurt, right?
You know what, buddy? I mean, where am I?
Geez, Joe, that's sick, but not surprising.
I've honestly grown numb to those remarks at this point. Anyway, it sounds like she's going in double S tier, but where exactly?
You know what? I never really took notice that she was goated until season 5 being out of Gwen's shadow, so I'll say behind Gwen.
I second that. To think if she were a bit older, she could be a shoe-in for Miss America if I was still doing that these days.
I know who I'm going to be thinking about tonight.
Maybe it's time to kick Joe out of this video call.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'll behave.
I guess if you're a light that shines half as bright as her, you're bound to attract a few pests.
Okay, lightning round people, we're getting into the one-off characters in Bush. It's time to use the voice changer again. If I have to hear Ghostface again, I'm going to lose it. Starting with the only weasel with enough speaking parts to be included in the list. Lydia, I had to look up what her name was. She was only around to be a rival for Zuri, like Hazel was for Emma, which would have been okay if anything came of it. I'm thinking D tier, and also I'm moving Hazel to C tier because I just remembered the episode in season 4 where it was revealed that she actually has a soul. Up next, we have the reality show director. It's been so long that I don't remember his name. And reality shows suck, but I don't feel that way about this character. I mean, he faked all his encounters, but it's become common knowledge that nothing in reality shows are real, but he has a presence about him that's appealing. I think C tier is appropriate. Now, for the health inspector from season 3, I don't have much to say about her. I can't believe our main trio thought she was a cleaner, as if she would wear a pantsuit if she was. Yeah, she's just a broken character who's doing her job. I think D tier, but at least she got a happy ending. And
not a bad round, you sorry shit.
Nice touch with the Negan voice, George.
Yeah, if only I had that idea from the beginning.
It was my idea, you mean?
Whatever, I'm taking over Lightning Round 2 Family Edition, and I won't fumble my words like a slow, fat kid, so it will be quick.
Fuck you.
To start off, we have got Ava's mother. It's important to note that when Ava last saw her mother, she ran away from home and became a camp counselor to get away from her mom. As part of a manipulative plot set by her 2 campers, her mother paid a visit, and I feel like this was a turning point for Ava's character. She almost went back home with her, but then after her campers showed her how much of an impact she has on them, she stayed. I think Ava's mom had a hand in that. Plus, I can see she's a loving mother, so I'm thinking B tier. Up next, let's talk about Lou's dad. You will find that most, if not all, of the slice-of-life character arcs with their parents is pretty routine, like they follow the same plot formula just about every time. As the story goes, seems that Lou's dad has always fought her battles for her. But when Lou proved herself after pouring liquid on the camera, a different producer's camera because she was causing drama in Grizzly Cabin, at the end of the day, he's just a loving father who learned to back off a little in the end. I'm feeling top of C tier for him. By this point, as we rank Mateo's mom, that routine I mentioned should be clear now. Mateo has always been veered as a timid, nerdy character. But just like with Jorge, who was thought to be illiterate when he was actually interested in reading horror, seems that Mateo was hiding a certain side of himself. In this one, Mateo must stand up to his mother and tell her that he doesn't want to inherit the family dojo, and that he wants to pursue science. I'm feeling a slightly lower C tier for her as well, since I don't know how I feel about Mateo actually being tough. Now let's talk about Finn's stepfather. To tell you the truth, I don't remember much about him, other than the fact that he's played by Jerry Trainer. But we're not factoring the actors who play them in our ranking. It's pretty typical of a stepfather to want to get close to their stepson. If this were a less conventional show, this between Finn and his father would stay complicated. But this is Disney, so of course Finn learns to accept him in the family, as he truly does love his mother. I'm sure there's a many sneaky stepdad jokes I could make, but I'm feeling B tier for him. Maybe I'm biased because I still only see a slightly older Spencer Shea when I look at him, but whatever. Now let's talk about Giga Chad Sr., Xander's father. In the final episode of the first season, Xander's father returns to camp to get Xander to join sports camp or something like that to continue the family tradition of being more involved in sports and sharing the same jockstrap. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this goddamn show? Anyway, this would force Xander to leave Kikiwaka, which would mean he couldn't stay with his friends and his sweetheart Emma. Speaking of Emma, unlike the others who had to solve their own problems, Emma softened him up for Xander. I'm honestly feeling a tear for him because he not only respects Xander's wishes, but he also respects Xander for having the courage to stand up to him, as he didn't have the same courage to stand up to his dad. Let's put father and son side by side.
Well, George, well said indeed. We're going to switch gears to another main character for a moment.
I'll be honest, I completely forgot that we were still talking with George.
Not all that surprising with you, Joe, but yeah, I agree.
Well, I guess the only thing that could beat the voice of Jeffrey Dean Morgan is Morgan Freeman.
Well, anyhow, let's talk Parker Preston. I must say the idea of a character having a preset legal birthright to the camp is an interesting one. Building his character from there, he's an entitled rich boy who's trying to adjust to his new lifestyle to make himself more deep and meaningful.
He is a good character when he's not making an ass out of himself, which can be seen quite a bit. Like how he wanted to cut down a tree to make room for his RV, which turned out to not be a tree, but rather a cell tower which should have surprised no one over the age of 11 years old. Or when he found out that his evil sister was hosting a Christmas party that he wasn't invited to, and prompted him to revert back to his old self and celebrate his own party at camp, following the same traditions from his toxic family in a Christmas Carol parody, and the plot where he was rooting for Bill in his own over-the-top way. It was literally the exact same copy and paste plot with Ava and Destiny's marble race plot, which was more appealing to me.
Well, I agree with everything Negan. I mean, George said that copy and paste plot was inferior. The marble plot, I've yet to see the episode without fast forwarding, but as I was watching it for the first time, I was thinking, okay, if they have a Skyrider at the end, then this is officially copy and paste, but as terrible as the final 6 episodes of season 6 were, we're not ranking episodes overall. I think Parker's a decent character and should be put right next to Noah because I like their friendship in the show and their dance routines they do in later seasons.
I'll take the lightning round from here. Let's start with Spencer List's character, Eric, a one-off villain character who I feel is important to Ravi's character development, and so that Luke would have a reason to respect his younger brother, well, as much as Luke could respect anyone. For his significance to the plot, I'm putting him in C tier. Up next, we have Noah's brother, or maybe cousin, but I'm almost 100% sure they're brothers. Anyway, out of the 3 plots that were going on in this episode, this one somehow intrigued me the least. But from what I can remember, Noah's brother was a big inspiration to him. So to find out he changed up what he wanted to do with his life, and it didn't sit right with Noah. So in the end, they sorted it out and everyone's a winner. I'm truly sorry I don't remember the details. Now, rounding out the parental trio with Tiffany's mother, we have our first F-tier character. There is no way I'm putting the character who is responsible for making Tiffany a D-tier character any higher than that. Sure, she finally figured out that following the same mistakes that her parents made on her was a bad idea. But not only was that revolution totally dumb and predictable, but it was seemingly retconned when in the season 2 finale, they were talking about her as if nothing happened. Now, Janice was important for Destiny's character development. Remember how I said if we were just talking about season 3 Destiny, then I'd put her as low as B tier? Well, Janice was the example for Destiny that not everyone in a competition is out to get her, so she didn't need to be so cutthroat all the time. For that, I'm putting her in B tier. Now, as for Doug.
Actually, for the video, I'd like you to call him Sir Cuddles McCutie Pie.
Joseph, just no. Anyway, even though I don't know if we were ever meant to find a deeper meaning beyond what the 3 new characters of season 3 learned, that there will always be people out who will hunt cryptid creatures. Thus, Doug will never be safe unless he disappears, but he would always have a place in their hearts as if he were a human camper. But guess what? I found a deeper meaning anyway. Even though the show has taken many directions and Camp Kikiwaka has become a bit of a brand name at this point, its true heart is where the Kikiwaka's true residence will always be in the woods of Maine. And Doug represents that future for, and that major legacy will live on in him.
Damn, that was beautiful, dude.
I think he's just reading too much into it and is full of shit.
Haha, yeah, probably. Anyway, I'm feeling C tier. Up now we have the store clerk. Not much to say about him. I say we slap him in D tier and move on. Now we have 2 characters from Camp Champion. Turns out this one is the cool girl in Destiny's school. Why are there 2 kids from Florida all the way up in Maine when I'm sure there are more local camps in Florida? I don't know, but Destiny wants to appear cool as her, so she gets Finn to pretend he's her boyfriend. While I feel like this was more about the experience to bring Finn and Destiny closer together, it was in vain because in a twist that I totally saw coming, turns out the guy doesn't even see her as a girlfriend. But I'm putting her in C tier for making Finn and Destiny's friendship stronger. And as for the guy, well, if he took his damn headphones off more, he would have caught on sooner that she sees him as more than a friend. Still a pretty chill dude, so I'm putting him in C tier right beside her. Continuing with Camp Champions director Barbara, she's meant to be Lou's arch nemesis like Hazel was to Emma, so since she serves the same purpose, I'm putting her right beside Hazel. Up next we have Miss Tilly.
I like her. She gives off sweet grandma who only probably won't poison your food. I say put her in C tier.
Would you like to take over?
With pleasure. Up next we have Timmy, who became the long-running joke with no punchline. Last we see him, he runs off with Doug and his Kikiwaka mom, and we're left to assume that's where he is now. Geez, does this kid not have a mother to pick him up? I'm feeling C tier.
OMG, it's Nadine the Machine. Put her in S tier George.
Not gonna happen, Joe. She's honestly kind of annoying with her one gimmick being a pretend superhero. However, I'm feeling C tier because her friendship with Finn is pretty wholesome, and her willingness to help Ava and Destiny after making them play superhero, after finding out they were holding a secret movie night traumatizing her. Up now we have someone who I have no idea who she is. I remember the episode, but I seriously don't remember the point of her. I just know it involves Lou and Ava. That said, I'm putting her in D tier. And this guy, I can't remember whether his name is Marvin or Marshall, but the idea is that he's an alleged alien from Mars. I like how they left it ambiguous as to whether or not he really was an alien. But he develops a love interest in Zuri, and Tiffany and Jorge take it upon themselves to protect Zuri. Needless to say, this scares him away, so it doesn't work out. Interesting idea for a character I'm thinking C tier. Rounding out this lightning round with Stephanie Queen. She's that horror writer that Jorge reads books from. I'm feeling C tier for her as well, but it was a great episode she was in. I'm guessing this next character is going to warrant a group discussion.
It's Chuck. He reminds me of my pooch commander when he was just a little pupper.
Well, both Chuck and Commander have a wildness to them, but that's about all they have in common. I can't believe Lou couldn't tell that was a wolf cub all along. I still can't believe Tiffany never figured it out either.
Well, being that she was grieving for her childhood pet, it's not surprising that that's what blinded her. I have no idea about Tiffany, though. I like how in season 3 he has his own little arc with having his own little cub to look after, even though it's only been a year between seasons 2 and 3, so he shouldn't look as big an adult as he is. Anyway, I'm thinking C tier.
Okay, I can take it from here. The guy from season 2 who's come to take Griff back to Juve. Not all that impressive a character, though he does go from being a drone of the state to giving Griff a pass, so I'm feeling back of C tier. And babyface Munson, who I say looks more like he could be related to Mateo, but instead they're trying to relate him to Finn and Lou's side of the family. Whatever, I'm thinking C tier for him as well. This meathead of a specimen can go right into D tier, although he might have been important for Mateo's character as being athletic. So the fact that he lost to that little toothpick makes him D tier because fuck you, it's my lightning round. And this poacher can go into F tier because poaching is an evil pastime and not the funny kind of evil like Stephanie or Hazel. This blue-haired girl should get an Oscar for tricking Gwen and Destiny into thinking she was in trouble. And I'm feeling B tier, going from one actor to another with last name Cooper and first name I don't give a fuck. He's a D tier character, end of discussion. Up now we've got Gwen's brother Jasper. It doesn't even bother me that he lets his sister kick the crap out of him on a regular basis, since his discovery of rare values saved the camp, so I'm thing B tier. Now, in the lineup, we have Chef Jeff, and I respect that middle-class worker. Even he's not known for anything other than his occupation. Like with Murphy, I'm thinking B tier alongside Bertram. I don't have this guy's name, but he gives off creepy janitor in training vibes, and I fuck with that. So I'm feeling C tier in between Doug and Munson. Up next, we have him going straight into D tier, and if I really need another reason besides him being an incel, then how about the fact that he refuses to give up the stuff Chuck forcing them to have a little contest on who knows more about the stupidly named town they're in. I don't know what it is about this kid, but something about him ticks me off. Maybe it's his face or his stupid accent. Either way, he's going into D tier.
I think that's everyone. Well, it's finally done, boys.
Thanks to all of you for sticking it out this far. I know I couldn't do that.
If you'd like to make a tier list of your own, I'll leave the link for the tier list on tiermaker.com in the description, as well as the socials to this video's creator, as well as the 5 individual tier list videos he did for each season.
Because believe it or not, this tier list does not necessarily reflect his opinion on anything. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. As always, have a great day.